Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Empowerment Project podcast. I am Andrea Bosco.
And I'm Dr. Ray. How are you, everyone?
Hello. Thank you so much for being here. We are so excited to have these two guests with us today, and we're going to have a great conversation. So let me introduce the amazing Keith and Bridget. So Keith is the former general manager of the Collision Conference, which is Canada's largest technology conference, and the senior vice president of growth strategy at CoinDesk's Consensus Conference. So Keith brings this amazing world-class event expertise and delivering both the scale and the strategy needed to grow a movement of any kind. And then we have the amazing Bridget. And Bridget has 16 years experience as a multimedia host, producer, and founder of Be True Media. So Bridget has seen firsthand how social media trends, numbers, and algorithms can shape confidence and mental health. She currently hosts, this is incredible, USA Today's Sister Cities, the Homegirl Nation podcast, which all of you have to check out, and serves as a digital producer for Amazon Prime, Netflix, and Peacock. Together, they are putting on an incredible event in Toronto called Rally. And so we're going to talk about Rally as well as what and how this all came about. We're talking social media today, my friends, and what is happening, how it's affecting not only us as adults, but our children alike, and really where we might see it going and how can we kind of start maybe bringing in our own control systems, maybe to have it move to a little bit of a better place. So welcome, everyone. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're so excited. Yeah.
So excited. So I'm going to start with you, Bridget, because we've already chatted. FYI, we've connected and we heard a little bit of your story and where this idea to create Rally came from. But tell us a little bit about your story and, even in how social media played a part in that.
Yeah. Well, I started out in traditional broadcast. So TV, I went to journalism school, was always in entertainment and lifestyle, and I had a ball doing it. But quickly into that career, I just saw how the digital landscape was really taking over content and storytelling. And so I just thought to myself, okay, I'd be remiss if I didn't branch out and take on more digital work and learn more about the digital space. So I've been, I'd say, multimedia host and producer for quite some time, and social media has played a big part in that. And when I first discovered social media, it was, well, first Facebook. Remember when Facebook was just meant to connect us with like friends, colleagues, family that we haven't seen in ages, and you're like, oh, that's cool. But then it quickly evolved, and then Instagram came about, and I thought, wow, Instagram really speaks to me. This is a platform where I can kind of share a visual diary of my life, if you will. And then I did, and quickly found this community. And this was a time in my life where I was recently single after a very long relationship. I had just gone freelance for the first time in my career. So there were a lot of big shifts. And I felt so empowered to find like-minded people. But then over time, using social media over and over again for work and for my personal life, I felt a lot of impacts. And most of it came by way of comparing myself to people that I knew and people I didn't know. And, like we were all kids at one point in time, but we didn't have this comparative machine in our hands. And so I often thought, oh man, what's going on with the younger generation today? But didn't put much thought into it. But it was in lockdown. And that's, I think, the story you might be pointing to, what I shared with you.
Yeah.
I mean, we all struggled. We were on our phones, we were on all of our devices way too much during lockdown. It kind of gave us permission to just sit in front of screens, right? But I was locked down in a 500 square foot apartment and I was just doom scrolling all the time. And was the point where we had everything going on with COVID, George Floyd, anti Asian hate. It was violent video after violent video, headlines, photos. And I had to go back to therapy twice a week. My mental health was in the gutter. I couldn't even walk into a room with a mirror on, like on the wall. I couldn't look at myself because it brought back old childhood memories of being teased and bullied for who I was. And so my therapist said, okay, you got to cut this screen time stuff out because you have secondary traumatic stress. And this is the kind of stress that you take on when you see other people suffering. And I just
Mm.
thought, oh my gosh, if I, as an adult who have been working in this space for so long, don't know what's going on with the connection with mental health and screen time, can't put boundaries on myself, what's happening with young people? And we're all aware here, and I think more and more, everyone is starting to realize with phone bans and social media bans, a lot is happening with young people today, and it's very concerning.
100%.
Yeah.
And so did you find you decided to either get off social or limit, and did it help or
Yeah, I had to set boundaries on myself. And you know what? This sounds kind of ridiculous, but I needed the help of my therapist. I needed somebody to help me put boundaries on myself. I didn't know what that looked like. She was like, oh, okay, well, why don't you try muting the pages that are feeding you negative content? And I was like, okay, you know what? I should just unfollow them. As a, mid 30s at the time, I was like, what? I didn't even think to unfollow these pages. Okay. And then I had to set boundaries on myself when I can look at my phone. So, I mean, this was during that time when I was really struggling. But now I'm not, my boundaries aren't as stiff as they used to be because I can control it a lot more. But my gosh, ladies, when I tell you that it made a world of a difference in how I felt and how I just saw the world around me, massive difference, massive difference.
oh yeah, for sure. And it's almost like you needed like that accountability maybe with your therapist or even with a friend, just to be like, okay, how much time did I spend? Did I, unfollow enough people? But it's hard. It's still hard.
I think, like, I don't know about everyone here in this discussion, but I always knew, like, for a while leading up to that moment, I knew I was really struggling with how much I was on my phone and how terrible it made me feel. But because I never talked about it to anybody, certainly not with a professional, I almost didn't give myself permission to change my way of life.
Hmm.
Like, I almost needed somebody to say, this is a problem. And it's okay. You're not the only one. For me to actually change my behavior. I don't know. It's kind of strange.
No, I
Well, it's
know.
interesting that you say that because even like what you're saying happened to you over COVID is something that we're seeing directly in classrooms. And one of the things that we ask the kids all the time, like these are teens in high school, like if first of all, do you recognize that you might be addicted to your phone or to social media? And everyone answers yes. And the other thing that really floored us is that if we said that you and everyone else is not going to be on social media, would you give up social media? And again, it's a loud yes. Like they're recognizing how it's destroying them. And
Yeah.
it's only now that we're beginning to see certain parameters being put in the classroom where they're not allowed to have their phones. And I think there is a little bit of inconsistency with what teachers are and are not doing with respect to those rules, but it's impacting everything from the way that they behave socially to the way that they're learning, to their self-confidence. I mean, pretty much, Bridget, what you experienced, and I will tell you, even as an adult, myself as well, right? That lack of confidence, that comparison,
Yeah.
you don't even realize that you fall into that trap, but you do.
You do. And you nailed it when you
Mm-hmm.
said addicting.
Mhm.
These apps, I mean, Keith talks about it all the time. They're designed to keep us on them. They're designed to, it's like cheap dopamine.
Yeah.
Exactly. And Keith, yeah, like with your experience in the tech field, like share what you know in that space and even how it affects you.
Yeah, so going back to the conference that I used to run was Collision Conference, and it's now been renamed to Web Summit Vancouver. But I kind of got a front row seat to see how we put tech on a pedestal. And for a
Mm.
longest time, I was enamored by it. And I was like, wow, these companies are doing amazing things. Just like they were the biggest names, gracing the stage, and it was a privilege to see them up front. And over time, I kind of took a step back and was like, wow, we're really just putting them up on a pedestal regardless of what they're doing. And they just have free will to do what they want. And I saw a recent talk by Scott Galloway, and he summed it up really well. And he's saying that I think it's 40% of the market cap of the S&P 500 is with 10 companies. And those 10 companies, basically the way they make most of their money is through attention economy. So these companies so that's 40% of the S&P are focused on addicting us to our mobile phones. So it's
Yeah.
very hard for us, never mind a teenager who's still trying to figure out who they are, to figure out how to get away. They are pouring billions and billions of dollars into figuring out the behavioral little nuances that'll keep us addicted. And much like casinos did with slot machines back in the 80s and 70s, now it's just a slot machine on your phone that
Mhm.
hits you with dopamine and keeps you addicted constantly. And what Bridget was talking about there is she was on her phone all the time and she needed someone to almost tell her. It just shows you how habitual it has become. If
Yeah.
you wake up in the morning, you pick up your phone, it's just habit. How many times have we been on a phone and you go to Instagram or you go to one of the social without even planning to, and then you close out of it and you go back into it without, it's just habit forming. That's very hard cycles to break, especially when you're getting fed little hits of dopamine every time you do it.
And
I
how
know.
about the
Sometimes
split
I
screen?
just,
I
yeah.
was gonna say, how about the split screens or all the ads that are popping up when you're on YouTube or whatever it is? And then you're like, oh, I'm going to click here or I'm going to click here. And like your attention is completely fragmented because you're being
Yeah.
inundated with all these other things. And I mean, I'm sure both of you are very familiar with the book by Jonathan Haidt, The Anxious Generation. I'm sure you both have heard of it. Um,
Fantastic.
you're right. It's a
Mhm.
fantastic book. And, he talks about how social media has impacted girls and boys differently and how boys can become more addicted to things like porn and gambling, and girls become more addicted to these videos that make them lose their self confidence, whether it's makeup or these other influencers or whatever it is. But we don't realize the chemical makeup of these young kids. We don't realize it, but these tech companies, like you said, Keith, absolutely do, because they know exactly what to put on screen in order to take their attention away, right?
Yeah,
But
it's
that's
awful.
that's the sad part about it is they've realized that what'll keep us addicted, what'll keep us going back to the phone so they get ad dollars in, is outrage or stuff that makes us feel bad. It's for women. They did a really interesting study. I can't remember who did the study, but they pretended they were a 13-year-old girl, signed up on a platform just to see what it would be like. And after a few days without going near any of these pages, they started getting a lot of anorexic content or content about body shape.
Oh my gosh.
That just shows you what they're pushing because they know it'll get a reaction and it'll get further addiction to the phone.
Well, you look at
Yeah.
like TikTok and these platforms that are continuously building communities around everything that you can think of, and Skinny Talk comes to mind. Skinny Talk is essentially just pumped full of videos. If you go hashtag Skinny Talk on TikTok right now, you will see just content of usually it's young girls and how much they're vying for this particular body type, or you're seeing just content creators talking about the latest and greatest that they're using and doing to be skinny. And so you just often think, wow, how, like, what are young girls actually subjected to day in and day out? And they're glued to this kind of content. We were really privileged in meeting a teen just before a media launch earlier this year. We had a fantastic, honest, vulnerable conversation with her in terms of her mental health struggles. And she talked about how she used to love herself so much more before she found social media. And that came by way of how she looked at herself and her energy. She used to be really outgoing, and now she says that she can't help but try to be cool and look cool because that's how girls are showing up. So she doesn't even want to smile in her photos. And not only are girls comparing themselves to how each other looks, but they're also comparing grades. So what I'm realizing too from talking
Mm.
to young girls that on TikTok, you find a lot of young people sharing their grades. And then so you see that. And as a student, you go, I didn't get 90% on my English test. I must be an idiot. So you're just inundated with, yeah, addictive technology and then content that, gosh, if, we were in their position, I don't even know how I would handle it.
But I think that's an interesting point is we were all teenagers at one stage. Do you remember what you felt like as a teenager? You were full of
Icky,
anxiety anyway,
awkward,
and trying to
insecure.
fit in. So when you have these social media profiles where everyone is trying to be perfect, and that's what you're
No.
comparing your life to constantly, it makes complete sense what's happening.
It totally does. But then I have to think about it and ask myself, because the whole Jonathan Haidt, and even the when the show Adolescent came out, that was a big kind of outpour on
Mhm.
kind of opening the conversation around social media. I was kind of diving into it a little bit more, and one of the arguments is that every generation has something, right?
Mhm.
Like, my parents, it was like the radio, and it was Elvis, shaking his hips. And then, and everyone was like, don't watch Elvis. He's gonna torture your children. And then it was like my generation was the television and the VHS. Like now I'm like aging myself, but like the VHS and Blockbuster, and how many movies are you going to watch, and how often are you going to sit in front of your television set, and you're frying your
Mhm.
brain watching TV. And then, now this generation, it's the internet. I mean, 90s and early 2000s was the internet, and now we're into internet and social media. And it's sort of like, is this just this generation's thing? Are we going to eventually get over it and, all be okay? And, when I hear that, I kind of say, well, maybe we will be okay. But at the same time, I worry about the like attention deficit that this form of media is creating. Like when I look back into those other things, like we still sat and watched a movie for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Like it is insane how little my kids can sit and watch length feature film if it's not in a huge theater with like 3 popcorns, 2 snacks, and a drink. Like it's like, guys, just sit and watch this. Don't pick up your phone. We're watching one thing. And I even find myself doing it too, watching a show or a movie and it's a boring part or whatever. Oh, let me grab my phone. Oh, I had a notification. Let me see what's on it. And I
Yeah.
have to like consciously say, no, turn it off, put it aside. So that's where I kind of see the two sides to it. But like, what do you guys think about that?
I heard this argument, read it as well, and kind of sat back with it and was like, is this true? The way I look at it is, yes, you have different things that'll come throughout the years, and adolescents are always the ones that'll kind of feel the brunt of it because you're going through your puberty and you have a mix of emotions, so you're going through things. So it's a different kind of stage of life than anything else. However, when you look at the facts around it, and you go, okay, TVs back in the day, the idiot box, this is going to, at least that was a shared experience. So that had a lot. What's happening with phones is it's isolation. So that's one
Mhm.
of the big pieces. So you're just looking at your phone and you're being addicted to it. You're being fed this dopamine, but you're being isolated. Then you also have sleep deprivation. They're staying up late at night looking at it. It's affecting their sleep. We know what blue light does. First thing they do in the morning. There's the comparative. So there's all these. So I think comparing it to the previous issues that adolescents felt, be it rock music, be it TV, I think this is just so supercharged that it's way worse. And there's two things about it. One, you look at the data since the flip phone or the flip camera has been in, and you can just see through the stats anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts are through the roof over the last decade. The second thing to make you really think about it is, as adults, do we feel addicted to our phones?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the real test. Like if we're addicted, what's happening that generation when they don't have the frontal cortex fully formed and know how to stop themselves. And that's the worry. And it's formative years,
And I think
like
that's
spending
really
9 hours a day every day.
Yeah.
Just going to say 9 hours every day on your phone throughout your formative adolescent years is really going to set you up for failure as a young adult and further on.
Mm-hmm.
so. What I want to add to that, Keith, is I'm so with you on that. But Andrew and I do a lot of research on the neuroscience of everything that we do. Like whenever we go into a classroom, we always start our presentations with neuroscience. We want our kids to understand their brain and how their thoughts affect their feelings, and how their feelings affect their actions, and their actions change their environment. Like it's all scientifically proven. But I think to your point, and you made this point earlier, is that there's some really dark intentions behind these algorithms, because they understand how these young minds work and how quickly they can be molded in a different way. Like they're actually, what's happening is their brain is being wired in a different way. And so we always talk about, things that Bridget, you said earlier, the dopamine, like the fake dopamine. You said something along those lines, which I totally can appreciate, because when you're out and you're playing a sport or going for a run or spending time in nature, you're producing what we call the dopamine drip, right? Like we know there's healthy dopamine that sort of flows through your body for the rest of the day. And then you have these dopamine dumps, which are causing the addiction, because it comes in full force, but then it also leaves your body full force. So they're looking for their next hit. And I'm sure you guys have even seen on social media some of those memes where someone's coming up to someone's like, can I just scroll your phone? Can I just scroll? Have you seen those memes? Oh my God, they're
Yeah.
hilarious. It's like literally a Gen Xer coming up to, sorry, not Gen Xer, Gen Z coming up to a Gen Xer just saying, can I just borrow your phone? Can I just
Get the
do a
hits.
couple of scrolls? Yeah, a couple. It's exactly like that.
Yeah.
So, anyways,
I,
yeah.
I almost compare it to cigarettes. Like if we had a chance to get rid of cigarettes back in the day, yeah, we would have. I saw some crazy graph the last day and was saying how loneliness is worse than smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
I
And it was just
heard that.
comparing the two of them. And that's where we're going. Now, this isn't to say tech is the enemy and social media is all bad, because you can do a lot of good things with it. There just needs to be a bit more control around untethered access to it.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest differences I see with what we're dealing with now are the echo chambers that's being created for all of us. But when it comes to young people, when they're just searching up something that they may like, when they might be just, using the internet to express their opinions, and then what's being created around them is this bubble of just validation. Whether you are right or wrong, you're fed validation in content, in people, and it just encourages this lack of analysis that I've
Critical
like,
thinking is
critical
gone.
thinking
Yeah.
is not a thing anymore. Yeah. And so that I think can manifest in really awful ways. And that's one of the biggest differences that might be one of the most dangerous things I think we're seeing with social media right now.
And you can add AI onto that now. That's
Yeah.
quickly happening.
Exactly. Exactly. I know. And so, yeah, I mean, I always try to play the devil's advocate, but and put in some of those things, but it's true. Like we see it's a different medium, and it's being used very differently than some of these other advancements in technology have been. And Keith, it's exactly what you said about the isolation. And we go into classrooms and it's jarring how these teens do not know how to interact with each other, with an adult. Like the eye contact, it's like they don't really know how to speak to someone and look at them in the eye. There's a social awkwardness in a lot of them. And so some of our time is usually just spent like breaking the ice, kind of like, and it's this whole like fear of being judged. And listen, I think we all had that fear growing up, like that awkwardness and who's going to, judge me and stuff. But now layered on top of that is somebody like videoing this, and are they going to put
No.
it up on their social? And a lot of the stuff we do, it's like, okay, work together and then go up and present. And even though they're not allowed to have their phones, a lot of them are like sneaking them out and whatever, and there's this fear of like, am I being recorded? Is this being posted? And Snap is another beast in itself, that it's up for 24 hours and then it disappears and never seen again. And but there's a lot of damage that can be done. And I think the other thing with social that is different than the other technologies is the ability to comment, and the likes, and in kind of seeing a little bit of that like reciprocation of like how many people are seeing my stuff and or not seeing and responding. And I think like, I don't know what TikTok's doing, to be honest. I don't go on TikTok. I have it just for my kids and I can kind of see what they're doing, but I'm more of an IG person. But I think they've even taken out showing how many likes are on your posts for that reason of like trying to be a little bit I don't know, I guess they're trying to help the situation in being the problem, but they're kind of trying to improve it in a little way. But
Which I
yeah,
appreciate,
yeah,
and these things, Instagram did this a few years ago. They started rolling out the same feature where they would hide the likes. And I know myself and my colleagues, just talking behind the scenes, we really appreciated it
hmm
because, especially in the space that we're in, sometimes there's influencer marketing involved. And so you put out a piece of content, there's this pressure for it to perform well. And if it
yeah,
doesn't, I mean, getting paid for it aside, too, when a piece of content that you really care and you produced it with so much love and energy gets 0 views, it's very common to take it personally. If
hmm
you show up taking, posting a picture of, I don't know, maybe your new cute outfit and you don't get any likes, sometimes that could translate into, oh my gosh, I just don't look great. So when that feature was introduced on Instagram, I know with a lot of colleagues and myself, we talked about how great that was. And so to see it roll out in other ways, I think it's great. Like, Keith and I talked about this. Should we invite big tech, social media companies to rally? And you know what? We sat on it for really just like a day. And then we said, no, these guys created the problem. We need to offer them a seat at the table to talk about how they're
agreed,
fixing it. So I
agreed.
think that we need to be open-minded to these features and all the changes. I mean, hopefully there's more than one, but the changes that they're trying to make to protect youth today.
And, and that's the
So tell us,
reality.
yeah, I was going to say, tell us about Rally then. Sorry, Keith, that is a reality. I didn't mean to cut you off, but after you finish your comment, we want to hear about Rally and like how that sort of has come about and what you're hoping to accomplish and what is being offered to a lot of this participants or the kids that are coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, totally. I was just going to say how technology isn't going anywhere. And it's like I owe most of my career to technology and I use AI every day. I think it's an incredible tool. But there's dangers with anything. It's just like driving a car, there's dangers with it. So it's really about just educating people at the right age, putting up boundaries or barriers when we can. But I think a lot of it comes down to, and I know you guys go into classes a lot and teach about mental resilience and empowerment. And I think we just need more of that. There's more education at the right time, at the right age. That's really important. And it's kind of part of the reason we're building Rally. And Bridget, do you want to explain a little bit about Rally?
Yeah, we're so excited about this. And ladies, we
Mhm.
are so honored and thrilled to have you as a community partner. It means so much because what you
Oh,
do
great.
day in and day out in classrooms and even outside of the classrooms is extraordinary. So thank you for being
Thank
a part of this journey.
Oh, please. Thank
Um,
you. We're
oh,
overjoyed too.
Yeah.
oh, thank you. Well, yeah, Rally's coming up October 21st at Meridian Hall. And this is a 1-day festival of inspiration for today's digital generation. And, when we first went on this journey, the concern was for youth mental health. And so obviously we reached out to Kids Help Phone to say, hey, would you like to be a founding partner? And they were like, absolutely, which was just extraordinary because they're a leader in youth mental health, right? And so they've
Mhm.
been really, really supportive. And most recently, Bell Let's Talk has come on as another founding partner. So to
Oh,
have them in our
amazing.
corner is just, it really is. We're so, so grateful and delighted. But it quickly evolved into a festival of inspiration, not just in terms of mental health, but I mean, that's where it starts. But we really wanted to tap into other areas because I think our why for all of this is to ensure that young people today feel supported because we're living in a time where there's a lot of craziness out there. And I
Mhm.
think from our conversations, we've gleaned from these teens that they feel that they're shouldering this responsibility, whether it's climate change, whether it's the job market, housing, there's just a lot against them. And so we're bringing together different generations from different sides of lifestyle, if you will, to share their lived experiences and to offer hope and encouragement to young people, whether it's mental health and digital wellness, whether it's self-expression identity, future of work and technology, community and social impact, and media literacy. Those are like core areas that we're tapping into. So we really hope that the teens who are in attendance walk away feeling optimistic and hopeful about everything they have to offer, where they are and where they're about to go.
And
Amazing.
it's a free field trip for schools.
Mhm.
So we're working with school boards, and teachers can sign up to bring their class down. It's on a Tuesday, October 21st. And it's a full day, so we'll have activations around the entire venue, with it be roller skating, an offline arcade,
Wow.
workshops, and lots of different community partners like yourselves will be there handing out resources and just letting teens know that there's a whole community of people out there that are there to support them. They can go find out from Media Smarts about media literacy, or Kids Help Phone, or Jack.org about mental health. And then there's an amazing 2 hour show that Bridget has been curating with a range of voices. So I'm really excited just to attend, to be honest.
We
Yeah.
just want this to be fun, inspiring, empowering, and we just want them to know that they've got cheerleaders. We're here for them, like a lot of us have created this mess, unfortunately for you, and we're here
Mhm.
to fix it. So that's why it's called Rally Too, because we're rallying all the folks, including yourselves.
And
I
this is
know,
the
and
first
I
year
think
that you put it on, right? The first time? Okay, yeah,
this
that's
is
amazing. Yeah,
the
it's
first of
incredible.
many,
Yeah,
I
Oh,
think.
thank you.
exactly.
That is definitely the dream, is to scale this across Canada. Technology is not going anywhere, and we know that it's just going to continue. Um, we'll continue seeing new challenges and new opportunities. But like Keith said, we love technology. It's done us a lot of good, but it's about empowering young people to use it thoughtfully now.
Mhm.
Funny, when we first set up the website and started pushing it out there and seeing if there was an appetite for this, we felt there was, and we talked to a lot of people, and there seemingly was. But seeing schools starting to sign up really makes you feel, okay, we're onto something,
Yeah.
and there's a real need and a want here. But then we started getting a couple of schools from Halifax and Nova Scotia. We're like, whoa, okay, there's a real demand. And then a couple of weeks ago, we got a school from Portugal asking could they attend.
Oh my
So we're like,
goodness.
You
okay,
guys
this
are going international and you haven't even done your
global
first one.
issue.
That's
Talk
amazing.
about a field trip.
I'm like, can you fly everyone here?
Can we do Portugal next year?
That's the plan. Because right now I'm like, that's not really in our first year budget to fly everyone in. But it's really great to see the appetite.
No, exactly. And it's I think, now correct me if I'm wrong, but like I'm thinking the interest peak is in the adults, is in the educators, it's in the parents. And once they kind of get those kids in the door, and they get to experience this amazing day, then it's going to be like the word of mouth. Even with the kids, it's going to be like, oh, you got to come to this next year, or we had an amazing time. And I could see that kind of happening in that way.
We hope so. But you know what's been really cool to see, ladies? It's like just the speakers and advisory board members, too. If we look at those people who we've reached out to, people without children are
Yeah.
saying, yes, I want to be a part of this, because everyone now recognizes that this is a global issue. It doesn't
Mhm.
matter where you're from, what culture you're from, your economic background. This is something that impacts us all. And when you hear this country is banning phones, this country is making, social media illegal for 16 and under, you quickly realize, okay, this is a problem that we cannot ignore and we need to regulate it sooner or later.
Well, it's
Exactly.
translating into the workplace for these individuals where they're unable to function and follow rules and, even have face-to-face meetings. Like there's such a disconnect there. So, yeah, even whether you have kids or not, you're right. It's going to impact you in one space or another.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So it's like I've told Keith many times, Keith's from tech. I've hosted tech conferences, but I'm in media. I have never seen a more supportive community. Like we
Mhm.
have never been in a more like loving, kind, caring, nurturing community than this one. And I'm sure it's no surprise to you ladies because you've been a part of it for so long, but it is so wonderful.
Yeah. And you're going to see even more and more. It's like everything is timing, right? Like we talk about even, in my life, it's like divine timing and everything happens at the right time.
Yeah.
And even when we were starting the empowerment project, it was like little whispers and COVID hadn't even happened yet. And then, when COVID happened, it was like, oh my goodness, we need this more than ever. And I'm sure you're hearing that, like, we need this more than ever right now. We need to start having more of these conversations. And because what I also want you to talk a little bit about is how you're even going to try to initiate like what is it, like a social media free day or something where we try to do like one of those national
Oh,
days
yeah.
of no social or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
An intervention,
Okay.
an intervention,
Yeah. 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 It's a collective intervention you didn't ask for,
collective
but you really need.
intervention.
Yeah, we have plans to host offline day,
Blind
which is
day, yes.
about encouraging one day of the year where we all go offline. But what we quickly realize is there's one thing about going offline, but you need to fill that void with something. So we want to encourage small businesses or activities around Toronto. So if it's working with a bowling alley and saying 2 for 1 on offline day, or you get 50% off bubble tea, and just encouraging people to say, okay, on this Saturday, I'm going to go offline, I'm going to meet up with friends and do something in person. Um, but again, it's just all about moderation, and reminding people that tech is a tool and it's to be used, but you can't let it use you. And just reminding them that there's stuff to do in the real world.
I heard something along those lines, where they're creating activities that kids or people are doing with their hands, right? So when you're
It.
busy with your hands, you can't touch your phone, whether you're, doing something like carpentry or you're doing cooking something or baking something. Like you can't have tech in your in your hands while you're doing that. So I can
Yeah.
see how that would be spectacular. And one thing I do want to just say, Bridget, is you looking for permission or getting permission from your therapist is, I feel, what our kids are looking for now. They're looking for permission to
Yeah.
drop the phone. Like they want it. They want that support. And they're just waiting for someone to say it's okay. Like you're going to be okay without it. But
That's exactly
one
it.
of them drops it, and then all of them. It's going to be like a domino effect.
That's it. And that's why we have 30 speakers tapped who are going to give all of these teens permission to put their phone down and to give them examples of what they've achieved when they've done that or when they've used technology in a more thoughtful, analytical way. So you're absolutely right. And just to like extend off of that note, we're really excited because at Rally, we're going to have a bath bomb making class thanks to Lush Cosmetics. Yeah, so you can walk into this room with Lush and you can make your own bath bomb and take it home. So you're absolutely right. It's an opportunity to put your phone down and just be present and understand the value of creating something from start to finish.
But you're so right. That was one of my biggest learnings on this journey is we've talked to a lot of teens. We have a youth advisory board, and that's come up again and again,
Yeah.
where they're like, we know the problem. We want to get offline, but if I go offline and everyone else doesn't, then I'm on the island on my own. And it keeps on coming back to this permission. And the one I kept on hearing was, I'd like to be unavailable for a little bit. Like I
Mm.
liked it. And that it just struck me. I was like, my favorite time was as a teenager leaving your house at 10 in the morning and coming back for dinner at 6 p.m. and just having being free. And that the art of that has been lost.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
a lot of the idea of Rent and Rally was we want to reframe the idea that being offline is cool, or being and connecting in person is really where it's at. And it comes back to being present. And when you're doing stuff with your hands, you're present, you're in the
Yes,
moment. And
yes.
that's all the meditation is all about, coming back to being present. And I
Like,
think
I'm
we've
even
lost
thinking,
that.
I sorry, I was just even thinking, like, Bridget, you know this very well, and Andrea, you do this, and maybe you do as well, Keith. But all these young girls that are attached to Sephora, and like they go in and they're buying all these products. But how cool would it be for these kids to actually have makeup art classes? Where they're learning how to apply makeup, and whatever. There could be incentives created around it, but again, it's makeup art. Like they like Sephora. Like there's lots of ways that even all of us, four of us, if we sat down, we could get creative and brainstorm and think of 101 different ways to have kids involved with their hands, something different
Yeah.
for males or females, or even, whatever. But there's lots of fun things that can be done.
Dr. Ray, it's funny that you bring that up because we also have a makeup class at Rally.
Oh,
Yeah, so we have
part of that.
so we've
Be there.
invited makeup students from
Right,
um,
right.
George Brown College and hair students from Marca College, and we have a self-care room. So there's going to be 10 of each on each side. Students can come in, sit down, learn how to apply their makeup, and that's exactly it. It's bringing it back to what matters,
Yeah,
we don't need to
creative sense.
creative. Let's learn from each other in person. There's power in learning from each other on the internet for sure. It's easy to share content, it's quick. But what about learning from each other in person? There's something really special about that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And Keith,
wow,
what
that's
you said
amazing.
Yeah.
about
Same
not
mind.
being
Yes.
yeah, but what you said about not being available, like that just like, oh my goodness, that just hit me because it's so true. Like the
Mhm.
term left me on red.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, right? It's like they left me on red, but I left you on red because I didn't want to reply right now. Like it's not, but that whole idea of like, when are you going to get back to me? And, I saw you opened it and I know there's a function in Snap where you can like half swipe and you can see their message without fully swiping so that they don't see that you've already read it but haven't responded yet.
Hmm.
And because God forbid they see that you've read it and you haven't replied within, 5 minutes or something. And like
Spiral.
it's just, I mean, I feel the pressure even just to reply to like emails. I can't even imagine
No.
like having to constantly have that. I mean, listen, it's great that they're interacting in some way, but yeah, just being unavailable
So
is
simple. So
yeah,
simple, but it's such a like we if I get a ping now on my phone and it's a message, I know my brain will be thinking, I wonder who's that's texting me. What is that email about? And it's just hard not to be it's hard to be present when you have that little notification. Like by
exactly.
far the best thing I've ever done is turning off notifications on everything. But a lot
Yeah.
of teens don't have that. So
They
then they're
don't.
constantly in this halfway house where they're never fully present because they're always half in the digital world wondering what's going on and half in the
Yeah.
present
And I
world.
wonder if some of it has to do with, because I know a lot of parents are getting their kids' phones younger and younger because they want to have access to them, right? Like Keith, maybe when I don't know how old you are, I'm not going to ask, but when you were younger, you went out at 10 in the morning. Did your parents have any way of getting a hold of you?
No.
No, it
They
was
knew
this
where I would be, but
yeah. And you'd be expected to check in maybe, but this idea of like, and Jonathan Haidt talks about in his book about the unsupervised play that is like
Mhm.
being lost and this constant, like my son is in grade 6. This was the first summer where he really found his independence and was like, he wanted to go meet his friends at the park and he has like an iPhone that is just on a Wi-Fi basis, but he kept asking us for a plan. And I'm like, he's like, but mom, you'll be able to know where I'm at. And I'm like, I trust where you're at. I tell you, you're going to go out at this time. You're checking in at this time. I gave him a great watch, like a digital watch where he could know what time it is. I said, you don't need your data. You don't need a data plan. And I said, just go out, come back in an hour, check in. And then you go out again and do your thing. And I found like it was tough for me because actually a little bit more for my husband because he's a bit more of a control, like where are the kids and everything. Like for him, it's not, it was like he wants to track them. Like he wants to be like, where are they now? And in a way, it's like we've become these addicted, like tracking parents who we need to hear from our kids all the time. And even texting them while they're at school. And, oh, what, I hear the kids all the time. I'll tell them, guys, put away your phone. Oh, but my mom's texting me. Your mom doesn't need to text you at school. Like she knows you're at school. You can text her at lunch, right? So there's this even like idea of parents being part of that problem.
Yeah.
And so when we do presentations for parents, which we do, we talk to them about like cut the cord a little bit. Like it's okay. And I'm talking about when you're deciding on introducing it to younger ages. Give them a little bit of independence. They don't need a phone that soon. Like they don't need a phone in grade 6 or even grade 5 or grade 7. Like, yes, the phone gave us a great ability to feel maybe safer for some kids that are maybe traveling on a bus to school and back for a long time or in the city, public transit, all that stuff. But at the same time, we need to trust in that they're going to be okay if you can't get a hold of them right away.
Funny one, Jonathan Haidt talks about it really well, The Anxious Generation, where he talks about we brought kids inside or in a more of a controlled space because we were worried, and then we let them go on the internet and do whatever they want,
right?
Without
which is
any
even
supervision.
more predatory,
right?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's so funny. It's
With
so
no guardrails, no rules. Just go, run free. Yeah. No
Where
directions. Just go.
Yeah. They're safer going to the park in your neighborhood alone than on the internet with
who knows?
Who knows what's out there.
But I love to talk about unsupervised play and allowing, it sounds weird, but allowing a kid to play in a tree and fall and hurt themselves and just learning, just actual learning and having a fight with a friend, but having to make up in person and not bringing parents into it and just going through life, because that's where you learn the skills and the emotional intelligence to succeed later in life.
Yeah. And when we talk to parents as well, like they'll say, but how can we take away their devices? And we're like, it's not about taking it away. Like it's part of their culture. It's like, don't think you're going to take it away, but what are we replacing it with? Like, what, because I know with our in my generation was like our parents would open the door and they'd say, go out and play. And we'd be like, but we wouldn't even question it. It was like, sure, let's be imaginative and go out and play. Now the way these kids have been raised, their imagination and their ability to like be bored is harder to deal with. Mm-hmm. So you can't tell your kids, here, give me that phone, go outside and do something else. They actually like lack the ability, like those critical thinking and to really figure out, okay, well, what am I going to do? So doing stuff like Rally, where it's giving them some ideas on what else can you do with your hands? What other creative ideas can you do? We tell parents like, sign your kids up for a gym membership, put them back in sports that you took them out of, when they started high school. Start cooking with them, bring them and it actually requires parents to do more work. Because let's face it, we know the phone is a babysitter for a lot of parents. And like I'm not judging.
Like the TV was for us, right?
Yeah, like the TV was for us, exactly. So, but it does require the parents to have a little bit more of an active role and be like, okay, I know I would like to see you use your phone less. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to contribute to helping you figure out what else we can do. Like, let's go for a walk. And listen, you're going to get the hums and the haws. And like, I also have a teenager, so I get it. But knowing that you're playing that active role, and yeah, maybe you have to put aside your stuff. Like, when it's 9 o'clock and my son crawls in my bed and wants to play Uno, I'm like, oh, but I just want to put on a show and do nothing and finally have an hour to myself. But I have to be like, okay, I'll play Uno with you.
Yeah.
For 5 rounds or something like that. I'm just happy he's like come to play Uno with me and not want to be on his device.
And at least it's not Monopoly, because that's longer than 5 rounds.
Exactly. That's not going to be
Yeah.
5 minutes at all.
It's also the role model in the house, to your point. It's about like, if you're on your phone at dinner, they're going to be on their phone at dinner. It's what they see around them. I was listening to a podcast the last day, and I thought it was such a simple but brilliant idea. It's like, give your phone a leash when you're at home. So get yourself one of those long iPhone cables, plug your phone in, and you're only allowed to use your mobile phone in the house when it's attached to the cable. So put it beside a reading chair, and then you won't bring it to the toilet with you, or just look at it every 5 minutes, because it is addictive to all of us. I just thought that was such a smart, simple
That's
idea.
a great idea.
Yeah.
We should do that with the kids too. Be like, okay, you
Boundaries.
have an hour or 2 hours where you can only use it on the leash.
Yeah.
You can't bring it anywhere with you. That's
Yeah.
great. My kids will want like a 30-foot leash.
Yeah. When we're going back to landlines, man-made landlines.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love seeing the comeback of landlines. I want to get one. But to see these brands come out and like innovate and create really beautiful looking products to make being offline cool is so exciting. Like, you're seeing kids really going back to analog, and I'm feeling really hopeful that we're going to be able to set boundaries right from the get-go.
Yeah,
Guys,
my
my
daughter
daughter's turning 16 and she asked for a digital camera for her birthday.
Love that.
Oh,
I was
love
like,
it.
I
Oh,
know. I'm like, you want what? And she's like, a
That's
digital. I'm like, I think I have 4 in the closet, like right now. I'll give you.
take them all.
I
That's
was going to say
incredible.
the same thing. My daughter asked for a digital camera.
Wow.
She asked for a CD player and a record player.
That's
So she got
beautiful.
a record player for her 18th birthday. I think her 18th or 17th birthday. Her friends, all of her friends pitched in, and I got her one. And so my husband and I have like a record collection still.
Love it.
And so for her to be able to play records, like, I mean, when was the last time you guys played a record? Right? Like it was like, I think it was so nostalgic for us, but for her, it was so like vintage. It's vintage. It's cool. Like, vintage is cool, right?
Mhm.
So hence
Wow.
the camera, the digital camera, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I love this throwback to the nostalgia of the 90s, where people
Yes.
are going back, because I almost feel like in an age of abundance, having something like that where you can't just autoplay it, or you have to flip it over and listen to the other side, or with a digital camera, it's just that little divide. It's taking it back a little bit, which is
Yeah.
it's amazing to see.
It's
Yeah.
exciting.
It's like that demand. Like, literally they could have anything they want at their fingertips, even like a coffee delivered to the house. So I mean,
Yeah.
it is kind of nice to have something that paces them a little bit.
Bring back the
Hmm.
Walkman.
Yeah.
We need to see the Walkman and the Discman make a comeback.
Yeah.
I
Here
agree.
for it.
It will. Oh, it totally
Yeah, I
will.
think it will. Like, there really is like this demand for it. And we hear from young people too, is that they're kind of like, not that they resent the older generations for knowing what it's like to not live with technology, but there is this almost jealousy, like, oh, you were able to live a life without being born into this kind of thing. So
Right.
I think there's this hunger to take their control back, which is
Yeah.
so empowering and exciting to see.
I think you said that perfectly, Bridget. Like, it's hunger to take their control back, because that's
Mm,
truly what they've lost.
yeah.
Got it.
It's almost a fight against the algorithm. It's
Mm-hmm.
like being
Mhm.
told who to be, what to listen to, what to say. We saw some teenager sent us on this link, and it was brilliant. It was like, this summer I'm going to fight against the algorithm, and he was showing all the ways he was like listening to records, like trying to do more analog things, so the algorithm wasn't telling him what he should be doing. I just thought that was so smart, and it does feel like there is that kind of pushback at the moment.
Exactly.
Amazing.
And like, I definitely think there the knowledge is there, the consciousness is there,
Mhm.
100%. It's just they need that help. They need that permission. And
Mhm.
that's
Support.
exactly what you guys are starting this movement. And I think I said this in our very first meeting. I said, you guys are starting a movement, and this is
Thank you,
just
Andrea.
amazing. And to be a part of it in even the smallest way, I'm just so proud. And I really, like, this is just the beginning, folks.
This
just
is
Thank
an
you
honor.
so
Truly,
much.
it's an honor.
That's
yeah.
so kind, ladies. Thank you so much. We really can't thank you enough for believing in this, for being a part of the movement, and for everything that you're doing. Truly. I mean, you've been in this for way longer than we have, making a massive difference with parents, teachers, even like teens, students. Don't you work with corporate people as well?
We do. Yeah, we do.
Yeah,
We
like
do
you're
work with
tapping
corporate.
into
Yeah.
everyone. So, we're just learning from the best here. So thank you.
Oh,
I'm gonna back to what something Bridget said earlier on. By far, the nicest part of this journey has been meeting people like you, people in the community, because we are not experts in this field whatsoever, and we're really
Mm.
trying to convene people who are. And it's just such an amazing community to be part of, where people care. You really see it when they show up and they're having ideas and they're talking and they're making introductions. People really care about this issue, and it's the kind of spark you need, I think, to create a movement when there's all these amazing people doing it in silos. And we just want to help bring them together to kind of spur it on.
And they're all in
got it.
Yeah, you're
Canada, by the way.
attracting a lot of like-minded individuals. I mean, a lot of
Yeah.
people are on board with what you're doing, which is so cool.
And in Canada. So, like, it just goes to show how much we care about it here on home soil, how much we're doing in this space. I really feel like we're kind of the leaders here. And I see really like big changes happening from Canada itself. So, yeah.
Great.
Have you
World's
ever
our
heard?
oyster.
Have
Yeah.
you ever heard of the Montreal Accord?
No.
So I only recently heard about it, and I think it was in the 80s, where in Montreal they brought lots of countries together to try and fix the ozone layer, the hole in the ozone layer. And it was the start of them changing all of the chemicals that were going in, aerosols and everything else. But it took hundreds of countries to come together, and it happened in Montreal. That's, I think, the vision for this. Like, we want to get to a place where countries are coming together to put laws together to stop just attention being restricted or stripped away from the younger generation.
Mhm.
Yeah, beautiful.
The ultimate goal, I think, long term is however we can get governments to start thinking in this way, and just jump onto what Jonathan Hyde and all of these people are doing in different countries.
Exactly.
Well, listen, the
I
schools are
do not see
recognizing
how
it,
that
right?
cannot be possible. I absolutely think it can be possible for sure.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Dream
Agreed.
big,
So
everyone.
we cannot wait for Rally. Everyone, October 21st, if you have not talked to your school about it, if you're a parent listening, call your school, your high school, and get them to send a group to coordinate. I mean, spots are limited, people. So
And it's free.
get on it, and we will include all the information for Rally on this page and link everyone in. So if you have any questions, you want to be a part of it in some way, reach out to one of us, and we'll make it happen.
And
So
Bridget, tell us how much
thank
it's
you,
going to
Bridget.
cost.
Thank you, Keith.
How much is it going to
Free.
cost?
In all caps, free. Yes.
Free. Exactly. No cost. Just your time, which we know is valuable, but you won't regret it.
That's exactly it. We know how valuable the time is, so we're going to make it count. Sorry, Keith. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
truly.
Just since we have 1,500 students and teachers signed up so far.
Oh, wow. So it's like 50% sold out. So get on it.
Spots are going.
Mhm.
Spots
Amazing.
are going. Okay, perfect. So, thank you so much, you two. I think we
Thank
could
you.
talk for like another hour,
Oh my gosh,
of course.
totally. Yeah.
But we know, again, our time is valuable and everyone's, off to other things. So thank you. Thank you for being with us. And thank you all for listening. And we will be back soon. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you for having us.
Thank
Bye, everyone.
you.
Appreciate it.
Ladies.